What's up, Zaba?
It appears Destiny agrees with me that Adept was in.
Wait, sorry, say that one thing again? Somebody was dying.
Yeah, I was looking up who Cutie Cinderella was.
Oh.
Because the name, the cinematic universe just keeps expanding, so I'm learning.
Oh, there's a big one. Wait, I need to split my VOD real quick. Hold on. People in chat.
Oh, you playing a VOD? Okay.
Or no. I have to split my streaming VOD because if you put really big files on Google Drive, for some reason it has a really hard time downloading or something. But okay. What up? Oh, the universe. It's a big universe out there. It's a whole Twitch universe. That's my old world that I used to be a part of. From seasons 1 to 6, I think.
Your streams are the only lens that I consume any of this in, so it's interesting. But I was watching that discussion between XQC and the lady.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was the one that he was in a relationship with. It was interesting because I know you were getting triggered whenever she would be like, she would start freaking out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I could relate to that because, like, in listening to their conversation, I don't know if you ever had this in your dating experiences, but like, it's very difficult to be in a relationship with somebody where they critique you on something and like you try to take accountability, but you feel like it's never reciprocated. And me listening to that conversation, that's what it felt like. I feel like to some degree, you kind of pointed out XQC was like, oh no, I try to protect you. I was like, no, bro, you kind of fucked up. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to explain because people are like, oh well, why is Cutie making it sound like she's the one that's always in the right and he's not? Well, if she feels like he's genuinely misrepresenting things, of course that's what she's gonna sound like, right? Yeah.
And when he was talking about like, well, I kept these details. Like, listen, bro, she said don't bring it up in public, and you did. Then that's your fuck up, and you just gotta own that.
Which I think he kind of sort of did. The only weird thing, or the thing that is a little fucky past that point, is he definitely fucked up. And that he started leaking stuff. But his leak stream was like, it was 10 minutes long. He said basically that like they broke up because of some fucking shit. And that's kind of all he said. Now, she didn't want any of that to be released at all. So to some extent, like I can empathize with her there. But then she did like a 3.5-hour stream afterwards where she started vague posting hard about everything. Okay. I don't know if that response was warranted. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's two problems in there. Maybe it's just me looking at this conversation in a vacuum. It's a 2-hour conversation. But sometimes you're in a relationship with somebody where you don't feel like you have an out. So like maybe they came to an agreement where they said, we're not going to put this out there. That's not what he really wanted. But sometimes you're with somebody who doesn't bend whatsoever for what you want. And that can be a very frustrating feeling because he kind of alluded to that where he's like, I had no out. I felt like I had no way of getting out. And maybe
wait, no way of getting out of the relationship?
No way getting out of the circumstances where it's like he's under the pressure of like having to hide whatever it is that relationship is like, and she doesn't want to go public, but for him it's causing him stress to have to hide that whole thing. And maybe she just didn't want to have any kind of compromise on that point. And so there's times where I've definitely been, this is projection.
On him, to be fair, also for that's a pretty hard spot for him to be on. Like, something that would be nice to know is that, like, how long is she expecting him to just say nothing ever?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I was actually going to bring that up as my last point, but I just don't understand couples who go public and share like the conception of the relationship, but then all of a sudden want to go private when the shit ends. It's like, no, you've involved the audience, you've involved everybody in your little weird cinematic universe in your relationship, you've intertwined friendships and work relationships through your interpersonal relationship, and now when things are over, all of a sudden you want privacy and you want everything to be nebulous. That kind of lack of transparency all of a sudden really creates is like a weird aura on everybody. You know what I'm saying?
I get really irritated when people say this. People will say things like, oh, you're so invested in their relationships. You guys are parasocial is the word that everybody uses. I was like, no, motherfucker, you made the relationships part of the stream. Of course people are going to be invested, right? Like, Melina and shit is on my stream all the time. Like, we go all the time. If we break up, of course we're going to have to make some kind of public statement. It's not like she can just disappear forever from my background. And I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. You guys are obsessed. Like, well, wait, what do you mean? You conditioned them to be invested in your relationship. It's like part of what you guys do on a stream. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's one of the things about content creators that really annoys the fuck out of me. They're like, "Oh, parasocial relationships." It's like, bruv, you've monetized.
Yeah, that's your whole monetary scheme is parasocial relationships. Yeah.
On your relationship,
people give you $50 just for you to see their fucking messages. How are you gonna call them parasocial now? Like,
I don't know this lady. I do know XQC is a big dude. I imagine her career's benefited tremendously from having to take his every now and then. So
careful, Jesus Christ, chill.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
from being in a relationship.
No, yeah, I know, but like Adept is not like, she's a cool person. She's not like a crazy leecher like trying to fucking get big on XQC shit. Yeah.
I don't know. All I'm trying to say is,
Sure.
So you've given me the context. So let me walk it back.
Okay, yeah.
From being in a relationship, there's been some financial benefits.
Yeah, of course.
Is that a clearer way?
Some, but not.
Sometimes I just fire off the cuff and it's a little bit wild. Okay?
Yeah, I understand.
But you know her, so
yeah.
I walked it back.
Sure.
Okay, out of respect. So I imagine it's benefited her financially as a result, right? And so to me, it's so funny that now that you've made all this money and you've gotten the fans invested in your relationship and they want to see you do cool shit, all of a sudden you want to end it and you want to shut it all down. It's like my mom, I mention her and I reference her. And so, but I never bring her on stream. I've never brought her up on videos. I don't put her in front of cameras. Like, it's just not something I want out there. If people were to run up on my mom and start asking her a bunch of stuff, I would feel some type of way because I've maintained a huge effort to keep her private. I've made sure she's not in any of my pictures on socials. She's in nothing. Okay. If you bring your mom on every stream and you doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden someone sees her at a corner store like, "Hey, Abba's mom," I was like, yeah, that's going to happen. You've brought her into this world. People who post their kids online every single day and surprised when people are asking about their kids and shit. It's like, I just don't understand that dynamic. So Mia, I don't understand what kind of privacy she wanted when she was saying this stuff. Do you understand that?
Yeah. No, of course. I say this all the time. You can't get mad when people get super invested in your relationships when your relationships are like a really big part of your stream. Yeah.
Yeah. So for him, I imagine it must have been stressful for him for people to be asking about his relationship or for it to be like part of whatever drama that's going on here. And then he can't talk about it because that's what she needs. It's like, okay, well, I need to just be able to say this so I can move on. I need people to know.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Now, the only issue is that as soon as he goes public, things are going to get stressful for her too, which is okay. Like, she should be able to deal with that as well at some point. But if they'd made an agreement not to, for him to suddenly start bringing it up publicly before she's ready for it, puts her in a pretty awkward spot, I think, which is fair.
Haven't they been broken up for a while?
I don't know, what, a month or two, I guess?
I mean, bro.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I agree, but like if he agreed not to say anything and then he does, I mean, that's kind of his fuck up, right?
But that was the part too. Whereas like me and listening to that conversation, she conceded zero ground.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's probably because she feels like he's the one that fucked up, right?
To me, I'm not gonna lie to you. Whenever I see a breakup, it's never 100% anybody's fault.
Well, careful. It's not they weren't fighting over whose fault was the breakup. It was over the agreement they'd made about when to reveal things publicly.
There were parts there were things that he would bring up about how he was being attacked by Hassan or what other stuff, and she was offering zero charitability in regards to any of the stress that he was going through with all this stuff happening. To me, this is just how I view stuff.
Okay.
I feel like if two people are having a disagreement or an argument within like the confines of any kind of like interpersonal relationship, generally both people contributed to the situation to some degree, either by her not being the greatest listener in regards to some of the stress he was going under with not being able to say this stuff or whatever. So if you're not even charitable enough to say like, I understand the kind of stress you're under, I kind of understand that. If you're not charitable enough to do that, I look at you as probably somebody who's slightly unreasonable within relationships.
Yeah, that's possible. And it's totally possible that like maybe a bunch of logs get leaked and we see that where, because he almost alluded to it, but they didn't really get on it much. Gracie was like, yeah, I mentioned that. I said it was a lot to deal with blah, 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 where it sounds like she probably should have figured out an exit plan for this because it's going to leak eventually, right? They must both understand that. So like it's probably better to deal with it rather than, it almost sounded like maybe she was just hoping that if she ignored it for long enough, eventually it would go away, maybe, but.
Right. And I can understand why she's also upset by the outcome because at the end of the day, you know, you're going through something stressful like a relationship. You don't want the whole internet coming down on you and saying a bunch of shit. So I understand that the outcome is not happy to her, but for her to have zero understanding for what he was going through in that moment or even like any of the stuff that he was saying, to me, what it just says is within the confines of that relationship, she doesn't see herself as like in the wrong a lot of the times. And so
maybe
I would transpose myself in that and say, if I have a grievance and I am with a partner who doesn't really hear my shit really well, I might just take an action on my own and run an audible because talking to that person doesn't feel like I can get out. And that's what he kind of alluded to when he said, I felt like there's no escape. I feel like there's no way for me to like talk with you about this and get out of it.
Well, I don't know if he was alluding to he felt like there was no escape in terms of talking to her or if he felt like there's no escape in terms of what to deal with the audience. It's hard to say, but.
Right. Okay. So maybe that's a bit of I'm taking an extra step.
Maybe.
But I don't know. To me, listening to that 3-hour conversation, did you see her concede on any ground or try?
No, not at all. But that's like I said. I fucked up with this really hard in the past, so I caveat carefully now. There are worlds where I could totally understand that. There are worlds where I find out what happened in the background, that like she woke up one day and out of nowhere XQC and his whole family was doing like a Quebecian ritual where they smear shit in her face, and she woke up freaking the fuck out. And now he's presented this story online where he's like, yeah, you know, just we broke up, blah, blah. And she's like, bro, what the fuck? Like the real story is so much grosser. Fuck you, right? And I could see her being like, I'm not going to concede anything to this motherfucker in a call. Or I could see the other world where she actually just doesn't view herself as being at fault ever, and she's like a little bit selfish. Like that's possible too. I don't know. So I'm really careful not to like make a snap judgment on that, because it could be one way or the other, like hardcore. Yeah.
That's entirely fair. But there's a couple of things that she said. And one thing where she was like talking about his family. It's like, listen, if he talks about his family is one thing.
Yeah, I brought that up.
You are my partner.
Yeah.
And you start talking crazy about my family, that's completely different.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And so for her not to understand how that was different, I'm like, you have zero charitability.
Yeah,
you're not talking about the people in my personal life that like, and now you're just saying whatever you want. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is weird. And so I'm just seeing that pattern repeat itself. Again, I am also projecting just based off my own personal experience. I have to acknowledge that. But as I watch them talk, I'm like, yo, this girl's not giving him any ground. How would you have regular conversation? That's how I took it in.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Okay. I said I was going to have another convo soon. Any final thoughts for us?
Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know about streamers, bro. But if I hate you online, I hate you offline.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
If I catch you in person, I don't like you, you're going to know I don't like this shit. So I don't know how these streamers were, but if I see Hassan, it's not like, oh, dude, like, what do you like? Don't talk. Don't even look at me. Don't say nothing. But that's me. Maybe the streamer world, everyone got a they're off to be buddy.
Nah, you know what? I bet YouTubers do it too. Maybe you don't, but I bet YouTubers do it too. Absolutely.
I just find that cringe. If I get to a point where I really dislike you that much, I don't know. I just couldn't understand that. But it was funny seeing the cutie tweets where she was, what did she say? She said, imagine using your girlfriend's breakup for content. I was like, damn, you guys are really trying to be.
Yeah.
You guys are definitely
in front of his like misogynistic audience too, or whatever. Like, yeah, she was really leaning in on that. But
oh, does he have a misogynistic audience?
That's what she was saying. Yeah.
Okay, good to know about XQC. We share that in comments. I'll definitely hit him up soon to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, but listen, you got a convo. Enjoy that. Have fun, brother.
Love you, babe.